Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about Modern Warfare 2 and probably the biggest lie that we've ever had in the Call of Duty franchise. Before we get started, of course, there was no intro to this video. There are some copyright issues going on with some of the music on YouTube right now, and Pro Leader is one of those people having some issues. Of course, this guy does my intro and my outro. I've been talking to him. Hopefully it gets sorted out soon, but until that does get sorted, I can't have his music in my videos. So nothing against Pro Leader. It's not his fault. It's like an automation thing. They're trying to fix it. So there you guys have it. So the lie we're talking about here today is what Activision said back in November before Modern Warfare 2 came out. You guys may remember hearing about the unprecedented level of support that this game was going to be getting. And obviously that has not been the case so far. Here we are 5 months into the game's life cycle, and they have not given us a single original multiplayer map post-launch. How ridiculous is that? So check this out right here. Charlie Intel, shout out to them as always for always being on the ball with this kind of stuff. They found this, they dug this up for us, and this is the exact quote from Activision. The incredible momentum driving Modern Warfare 2 is a direct reflection of the energy and passion of the Call of Duty community, says the general manager of Call of Duty. As we look ahead to an unprecedented level of support from Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2's launch next week, we are motivated to deliver again for the best player community in the world. What a bunch of horseshit. Oh my God. Like... I understand, like, this stuff is not lost on me, man. I'm in my 30s now. I'm freaking old in the COD community anyway. And so I've heard everything from these COD devs. I've heard everything from game devs in general. I've heard everything going from, you know, when they're talking about how the game is going to be so heavily supported to how unprecedented the game is going to be in terms of graphics and appeal, and how they're going to listen to the player base, and how there's going to be an obscene amount of player community feedback with the developers, and that dialogue is never going to stop. I've heard it all. But when we heard this back then, and also when they said this was going to be a 2-year game, I kind of believed them, or at least I went like cautiously optimistic, hoping that with it being a 2-year game, that the game itself was actually going to have an unprecedented amount of support. I thought that the game itself was going to be finally catching up with all the other games out there, the other games that are touted as like this games as service, where almost every day, every week, there's something new. They're adding more. They, you know, want to keep you invested in the game. No, COD did not do that this year, man. And I kind of hoped that they would, because the idea of a 2-year COD is something that I've personally wanted for a very long time. You know, picture something like COD Mobile, but not mobile. You know what I mean? I know you can play it on PC, but that doesn't matter to me. I would much rather play like a full game that's designed for, you know, consoles and PCs and things like that, has non-free-to-play business models and things like that. Like, I've always wanted like that perfect COD, you know what I mean? Which is something I don't think we're ever going to get. But when we learned yesterday that Modern Warfare 2 is not going to be a 2-year game, but rather this fourth quarter, call it October, November, we're going to be getting a new Call of Duty title in the Modern Warfare universe by Sledgehammer Games, who just had the abomination that was Call of Duty Vanguard. I mean, Vanguard itself, like, I enjoyed the World War II setting solely for the purpose that the locations are interesting, the weapons are interesting, there's actual history and stuff like that, but man, I couldn't get past how broken that game was, how flawed that game was, how boring that game was, man. Vanguard just did not stick around for me. I could not get into that game. And so they just had that game out, and it was a train wreck pretty much from start to finish. And then now, like a year later, suddenly they have their own game that they're working on. I mean, I suppose it's possible that they, you know, were working on this game back during the Vanguard lifecycle, which is why post-launch support of Vanguard was so bad. But dude, holy shit. Like, if this COD comes out and it's not actually good, like, what is going to be happening to the COD franchise? Because Modern Warfare 2, for all intents and purposes, which was like the thumbnail of yesterday's video, is dead. I mean, at least to me and to a lot of you guys as well. I saw a lot of comments yesterday, people saying they don't even play the game anymore because, you know, why would you? The game has had a 2-month content drought, not even halfway through the game's original like 1-year life cycle. You know what I mean? Like, we're not even 6 months into the game's life cycle, and we've had 2-month content drought. And then when season 2 comes out, which was delayed, by the way, all we're getting is Dome, which we just got again, you know, back in Vanguard. And then they're going to be bringing back that map from the beta. The museum map was like solidly okay during the beta. Of course, we can, you know, we'll actually be able to experience it in the full game here to get a proper test for how the map actually plays and how it is. But, you know, that map is like solidly okay, but it's not even a new map. We played it during the beta, for crying out loud. So what is there to do for COD fans besides Warzone? It's almost like they're intentionally trying to make multiplayer shitty. Like, for a company that makes as much money as they do, that has as many employees as they do, as many studios as they do. I mean, Activision Blizzard themselves, like, they have more money than God. If they wanted to make COD an amazing game that is a perfect games as service title, you know, where they always have fans coming back and always want to try new things, like Fortnite, for crying out loud, you know, they could easily do that, but they're just deciding not to for one reason or another. And I don't understand it. I fundamentally do not understand what the direction, like what their plan is. I think the thing is, they don't have a plan. You know, we always talk about the idea of the COD life cycle being this thing that never stops turning. You know, the COD series kind of keeps moving forward all the time. They're always churning out new games. They're always working on the next thing. As soon as one game comes out, they immediately, you know, they might take like a week vacation, then they jump into the next game, you know, and they barely support the game they just released post-launch. I think they don't actually have a clear vision as a result of that. I feel like the COD devs themselves, I think Activision Blizzard, I think that they're just flying by the seat of their pants when it comes to this franchise. I don't think there is a definitive vision for what they want the COD franchise to be anymore. I think they are honestly going at this from a perspective of they're just making it up as they go along, kind of like the zombie storyline. I had to poke that in there. I know lots of people really enjoy zombies, and they say the story makes sense if you really pay attention to it, but dude, the zombie storyline's pretty nuts in the Treyarch games anyway. If you really try to look at it as someone who doesn't really know much going in, you just assume there were like zombies that, you know, arose from the dead and that was it. Oh no, it starts back at the very beginning of time where there was like two entities and space worms and shit like that. You know, they kind of just made up as they went along. Obviously, it worked out. Zombies fans are pretty happy. But when it comes to like the actual COD franchise as a whole, they're definitely making it up as they go along. They act like there's some grand plan for what they're doing. Maybe that grand plan is put out mediocre, shitty products as often as possible to continue to make money, to continue to, you know, appease their shareholders. That might just be the plan. That might be their actual vision. We saw in a recent video of mine, I'll put it up right here, how before Warzone came out, the COD series would make a ton of money in Q4 when, you know, the brand new game came out, the beta was out and all the hype was behind the game. And then as soon as we get into the next year, Q1, 2, and 3, it just plummets right down. Well, then in 2020, when Warzone came out, you know, it still plummets every now and then, but in general, like, the revenue stream for COD is a lot more streamlined. That's when they went to the idea of the battle pass. That's when they really started cutting all the interesting progressional content from the game and then just putting that stuff in the shop. And that's, of course, also when they stopped caring about multiplayer and really started focusing in on other things like Warzone and now DMZ. I will say the raids that we have, like the Spec Ops raids in Modern Warfare 2, the first one was fantastic. I hope the rest of them are also pretty good. I hope we actually get a bunch more before COD 2023, for crying out loud. Like, some of the stuff they do is good, but it's clear that they're kind of just going at this from a perspective of put out a product that is decent enough to get people interested and get people hyped, to get people to actually drop money on the game, have them play the game for a little bit, and then get them thinking about that next game, regardless of how good it's going to be. You know, try to bank on that nostalgia, bring back things like the Modern Warfare title, bring back characters like Price, bring back the Black Ops series like they're doing in COD 2024, you know, bring back Woods and Hudson and all them, and just kind of bank on that nostalgia, get their $70 a year, and then just be happy with it. That seems like what they're doing right now. And going back to what we said, like full circle here towards the very beginning of the video, you know, the incredible momentum driving Modern Warfare 2 is a direct reflection of the energy and passion, dude. Apparently, we're not energetic or passionate enough, apparently. And as we look ahead to an unprecedented level of support from Modern Warfare 2, dude, I think Vanguard got more updates than this. And that's saying something, because if you guys remember, back in Vanguard, the Sledgehammer devs were on vacation half the time. So, again, it's one of, if not like the biggest lie in the history of the Call of Duty franchise. And what sucks is I have a feeling we're in for more of this, because they said, Tom Henderson said in his article, which, you know, it's just a leak right now, it's just a rumor, it's from an industry insider, but they say that the hype cycle for this COD 2023, which is going to be done by Sledgehammer, is going to be basically on par with everything that we've had prior to this. You know, it's going to be similar to what we saw with Vanguard, similar to what we saw with Modern Warfare 2. So as a result of all of that, I have a feeling we're going to be getting more false promises like you guys are seeing right here as we go forward into the COD franchise. As always, I'll try to keep you guys posted as we learn more and as these different stories develop. You know, this video was more just a rant from my end. I just wanted to talk about, you know, this massive lie that they gave us, because it's all still fresh. You know, we have a fresh wound right now learning that Modern Warfare 2 is not going to be a 2-year game, and that instead we're going to be having to pay $70 for another title, which is likely going to be rushed and full of map remakes and things like that, because you're trying to tell me, like, there's no way Sledgehammer Games is going to release this game that's going to have like 20 original maps at launch, and all the post-launch reports going to be fantastic. It's all going to be new. It's going to be original. It's going to be fun. Hell no. It's going to be recycled warfare is what it's going to be. But we're going to have to wait and see, I suppose. But again, I know this video's been all over the place, so I just wanted to vent about this. I wanted to rant a little bit about it and just kind of get my thoughts out there and see what you guys think down there in the comments. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider leaving a like, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.